Hi, I'm John Festinger, and this is the video blog for News of the Week, November 5, 2014, in association with the UBC Faculty of Law's Video Game Law course. This week, we are going to address the first story, which sort of comes in a number of parts, a number of sub-stories, that relates to the filing by the Electronic Frontier Foundation for an exemption under Section 1201 of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. That section allows for exemptions for the greater good, and the EFF has filed in a video game context for an exemption that would allow gamers to play games that have been abandoned by their developer or distributor. An example would be old Mario Kart games that Nintendo are no longer serving. That's important to gamers who like those games, and is potentially important to academics who keep track of the gamers who play those games in various ways or might have ongoing studies. There are also a series of implications that arise from these filings. The first is that this is a wonderful way of addressing a series of weaknesses that appear in and around intellectual property law and contract law and consumer law in relation to games. So we'll go there first. In an intellectual property law context, in a copyright law context, since I'm no fan of the words intellectual property, finding them essentially to be meaningless in a real legal context, in a copyright law context, they speak this sort of action speaks to the notion of users' rights, a notion that at least here in Canada has been given some significant momentum by the Supreme Court of Canada in a series of 2012 decisions known as the Pentology. So this is an opportunity, I think, in some ways for the United States to catch up. In a consumer protection vein, this question of what happens when games are shut down online has long been a vexing one, and although games are now sold effectively as licenses, and their end-user license agreements put discretion to shut them down, generally speaking, in the hands of developers and distributors, there has long since been a feeling of unfairness about that. And certainly from a consumer protection standpoint, that's a viable feeling, and certainly a supportable one. So now we have an additional way in which this is potentially addressed. It will be interesting to see how this filing is dealt with and how it is finally resolved, though I would be optimistic about it because it does feel like it is aligned with the necessary trends to deal with some of the overcompensations, let's say, that have existed for a while now in copyright law and in contract law, especially in end-user license agreements, that have not been well aligned with the interests of gamers. So this may be a bit of a consumer protection action, but it seems, at least from my perspective, to be a very reasonable one. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it proceeds. Let's see what objections are raised to it. I'm pretty sure this isn't the last we will hear of this matter. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you next week. Take care.